Stop. Before you skip this video, I need you to tell me if this sounds like you. You wake up already exhausted. Your calendar is maxed out. Your to-do list is checked. Your supplements are lined up on the counter. Cold plunge timer is set. You've tracked your sleep score. Your HRV looks fine. You're doing everything the top podcasters and longevity experts told you to do. And you still feel like you're running on fumes by 2 p.m. Here is what I've discovered after a decade working with some of the most driven people alive. CEOs, surgeons, elite athletes, founders building 9-figure companies. The ones who are the most disciplined are often the most biologically broken. Not the ones who ignore their health, the ones who think they're optimizing it. And the reason why is hiding inside 5 specific mistakes that almost no one is talking about. I'm making this video specifically for those of you who feel like you're doing everything right, but still feel drained. These 5 mistakes are very likely the reason. Before we go any further, drop a comment below right now. Tell me, which habit has been the hardest for you to maintain lately? I read every single response. Let's start a real conversation. At Vitawave, we operate by a belief that I want you to sit with. Health is not a destination, it's a rhythm you learn to ride. We don't just treat symptoms, we decode your biological waves to turn back the clock from the inside out. That is not a tagline, that is the operating principle behind everything we do here. I've spent the last 12 years working inside the intersection of functional medicine, longevity science, and high-performance biology. I have sat across from people who have everything, the wealth, the titles, the accolades, and watched their bodies quietly signal a biological emergency they kept overriding with willpower. Because the world has sold high achievers a dangerous lie. The lie sounds like this: work hard enough, optimize long enough, sacrifice enough now, and you'll earn your health back later. You'll cash in the reward when you've made it. But biology doesn't operate on a business timeline. Your mitochondria don't care about your quarterly targets. Your telomeres, the biological markers of how fast you are aging at the cellular level, are shortening right now, whether or not the revenue is up. So let's fix that today, starting with the first mistake, and this one is going to surprise you because you probably think you already know this. Mistake 1. The illusion of efficiency through sleep compression. Here's a belief I hear constantly from high performers: I'll sleep when I'm dead. And biologically speaking, that statement is more accurate than they realize. Let me show you exactly what happens when you compress your sleep to claw back more hours for the grind. In the early part of your night, your body prioritizes deep, slow-wave sleep. This is physical recovery, cellular repair, human growth hormone release. Your body is rebuilding itself at the molecular level. But here is the piece most people never hear about. The final 1 to 2 hours of your sleep cycle, the REM-rich cycles, are when your brain consolidates everything you learned that day, processes your emotional state, and rebuilds the executive function of your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for strategic decision-making, impulse control, creative problem-solving, and emotional regulation under pressure. When you cut your sleep to 5 or 6 hours, even when you feel fine, you are systematically eroding that function. You are walking into the most consequential decisions of your professional life with a brain running on a degraded operating system. Now, here is something that 2026 wearable data is beginning to reveal, and this is critical. There is a profound difference between tracking sleep and actually achieving recovery. Millions of high performers are now sleep tracking religiously. They see their HRV number, they check their readiness score, and then they ignore it and grind anyway because the calendar won't move. The data becomes a performance metric they optimize around rather than a biological signal they obey. Genuine recovery isn't about hours locked, it's about whether your nervous system actually shifted down during the night, whether your autonomic recovery completed its cycle, whether your cortisol had enough dark, screen-free time to fully metabolize. That is where the biological shutdown routine becomes your most powerful professional tool, not a wellness indulgence, a non-negotiable physiological reset. In practice, 90 minutes before bed, you begin deceleration. You stop sending high-stakes communications. You step away from stimulating content. Your nervous system needs a ramp down, not a hard stop. Magnesium glycinate, which we'll return to, is a valuable support here. A short body scan or slow breath. You protect your bedroom as a recovery chamber, not a second office. This is not going soft. This is outcompeting the competition by showing up sharper every single day. That's mistake 1, and if you're already nodding, good, because mistake 2 is going to challenge something you may actually be proud of doing. Mistake 2, overloading the system with advanced biohacking protocols. I want you to picture something. You have a business, it's underperforming, and instead of fixing the fundamentals, the cash flow, the product, the team, you decide to simultaneously launch 7 new revenue streams, deploy 3 new management systems, hire a moon cycle productivity consultant, and upgrade your software stack. That sounds insane in business, right? That is exactly what a significant number of high performers are doing to their biology right now. We are living through the golden age of biohacking, and I genuinely find that exciting. But I'm also watching a dangerous pattern develop in the data from high performers. I work with people who are running daily cold plunges, red light therapy, hyperbaric oxygen sessions, 16-hour fasting windows, VO2 max intervals, and 22 supplements, and their cortisol is elevated. Their inflammatory markers are climbing, and they cannot understand why. Here is what the current research is confirming, and it needs to be said clearly. Extreme cold exposure performed too frequently without adequate recovery triggers a significant cortisol spike. For someone already operating at an elevated stress baseline, which most high performers are, this is not a biological upgrade, it is a biological tax. The same applies to aggressive fasting windows. When you are already in a state of high cognitive load, relentless output, and deadline pressure, extended fasting sends your body a threat signal. The hormonal cascade that follows isn't optimization, it's emergency mode. The real question isn't, is cold plunging effective? It is, what is the condition of your metabolic and adrenal foundation right now? Because advanced protocols amplify what already exists. If your foundation is solid, they accelerate recovery. If your foundation is already stressed, they accelerate its breakdown. Before you add anything new, the smarter question is, are my mitochondria, the energy factories inside every cell, functioning efficiently? Is my cellular cleanup, the process of autophagy, occurring on schedule? Are my core inflammatory pathways under control? Build that foundation first, then the advanced protocols become genuine accelerators. Skip it, and they become expensive stressors wearing the costume of optimization. Here's the thing, mistake 2 might actually be visible on your supplement shelf, but mistake 3, you won't see it anywhere, and that is exactly what makes it the most insidious of all. Mistake 3, ignoring the silent tax of cognitive sympathetic overdrive. Let me describe someone to you. Tell me if this feels familiar. They wake up and immediately begin threat assessments in their mind before their feet touch the floor. Their day moves from one high-stakes decision to the next with a low current of urgency beneath everything. Even in moments of apparent rest, dinner, a walk, time with family, their nervous system is rehearsing tomorrow's problems, scanning, planning, anticipating. Their brain never actually stops, it just changes channels. What I just described is the biological state of permanent sympathetic activation, not full-blown panic. These are too disciplined for that, but a chronic, sophisticated, high-functioning version of the threat response. I call it cognitive sympathetic overdrive. And the physical toll of this is extraordinary, precisely because it is invisible, until the system fails completely. When your sympathetic nervous system remains chronically dominant, the downstream effects touch every system in your body. Your gut microbiome shifts toward inflammatory species, long-term immune suppression sets in, testosterone and DHEA decline while cortisol remains persistently elevated. Your vascular system stays in mild chronic constriction. Inflammatory cytokines circulate at low but sustained levels, quietly degrading neural tissue over time. And here is the piece that most people miss entirely. Your high-intensity training sessions may be making this problem significantly worse.
Exercise is a stressor, a beneficial one, absolutely, but a stressor. When you layer 4 high-intensity sessions per week on top of a nervous system that is already chronically activated, you are compounding the total stress load on the body, not relieving it. You are filling a bucket that is already nearly full. This is why so many high achievers feel like they can no longer recover from workouts the way they used to. It is rarely about age. It is about a stress bucket that has been at capacity for years. The shift that transforms this isn't a softer training program. It is the deliberate cultivation of parasympathetic windows throughout your day, treated not as self-care, but as biological intervention. This means structured breath work with extended exhale protocols, which mechanically engage the vagus nerve and shift your autonomic state within minutes. It means unhurried walking without a performance podcast, time outdoors without a screen, which has measurable effects on cortisol and inflammatory markers. And it means treating the ability to genuinely downregulate as a skill worth developing, because for many high achievers, it is a skill they've never actually built. That capacity is where burnout reversal begins. And now we arrive at a mistake that exists at the intersection of your kitchen and your brain chemistry, something almost no nutrition expert is connecting to your daily performance, and it goes deeper than anything on your current supplement label. Mistake 4, the precision nutrition trap and micronutrient depletion. In 2026, precision nutrition has become a kind of religion among high performers. I understand the appeal completely, the promise that you can engineer your food intake with scientific precision, optimizing for energy, cognition, body composition, and longevity simultaneously. It's genuinely compelling. But here is what the emerging data is telling us, and it is something the popular nutrition conversation is almost entirely missing. Many of the dominant dietary practices of this era, whether strict carnivore frameworks, aggressive ketogenic protocols, or extended elimination diets, when maintained rigidly over time, can create hidden micronutrient gaps that remain entirely invisible on a standard blood panel. And the relationship between sustained high stress output and accelerated micronutrient depletion is one of the underappreciated dynamics in high performer biology. Let me make this concrete. Magnesium. Your body deploys magnesium in over 300 biochemical reactions. ATP production, your cellular energy currency, requires it. Nervous system regulation requires it. Sleep architecture requires it. Blood sugar stability, muscle function, cardiovascular rhythm, all require it. And here is the critical piece. Stress burns through magnesium at an accelerated rate. Every cortisol spike, every adrenaline release, every extended period of high cognitive output draws from your magnesium reserves. If your dietary intake is not actively replacing this in real time, you develop a functional deficiency, even if your standard serum magnesium level looks within range, because the body will sacrifice tissue stores to maintain serum levels until those stores are exhausted. The same pattern applies across the B vitamin complex. B12, folate, B6, and thiamine are foundational to neurotransmitter synthesis, methylation pathways, and the production of GABA, dopamine, and serotonin. They're depleted by chronic stress. They're further depleted by the restrictive dietary protocols that tend to reduce food variety. What you end up with is a high achiever who's macronutrient optimized but micronutrient depleted. Hitting their protein targets, managing their fasting windows, tracking their macros, and their brain chemistry is quietly degrading, affecting mood regulation, motivation architecture, sleep quality, and emotional resilience in ways they attribute to stress, aging, or mindset. The rebalancing strategy isn't complicated, but it requires a shift in how you think about food. Move away from food as aesthetic fuel or performance macros and towards food as molecular information for hormonal and neural function. Food diversity, genuinely rotating your plate, supporting methylation pathways intentionally through diet and targeted, tested supplementation, and committing to comprehensive micronutrient testing, not a standard panel, but a functional intracellular nutrient analysis, at minimum twice yearly. Your brain is the asset, the most irreplaceable one you have. Feed it with that understanding. If you only take one thing from everything I've shared today, let it be what I'm about to tell you next. Because mistake 5 is not just a biological error, it's a philosophical one. And it is the mistake that the highest achievers, the most driven, most capable, most accomplished, are most at risk of making. Mistake 5, delayed maintenance and the high achiever's health debt. I want you to sit with one question. Have you ever told yourself, maybe not out loud, maybe only in the quietest corner of your mind, I'll handle my health after I reach this milestone, after the company hits this number, once the deal closes?
Once things calm down, once the kids are older, if that has ever been your internal dialogue, you are running the most dangerous financial model that exists. You are borrowing against your biology and operating under the assumption that the debt can always be refinanced later. It cannot. Here is what I call the high achiever's health debt, and I want to be as concrete with you as I possibly can. Biological age testing using epigenetic methylation clocks, tools like GrimAge and Dunedin Pace, can now tell you with significant scientific precision how fast your cells are actually aging relative to your chronological years. I have worked with clients in their early 40s whose biological age was reading at 54, 56, 58, not because they were unhealthy in the obvious sense. They were driven people, disciplined people, people who looked vital from the outside and were quietly aging at an accelerated rate from within. The cost of the deferral was already on the account. The assumption that you will earn your health back after hitting a specific professional or financial benchmark is not just psychologically dangerous, it is biologic incorrect. There are systems in your body where the damage from chronic neglect does not accumulate linearly. It compounds, and it frequently becomes irreversible past certain thresholds. Your telomeres do not regenerate. Certain hormonal axes, once suppressed for years, do not simply reset when the pressure lifts. Neural architecture built under years of chronic activation does not dissolve in a 2-week retreat. The high achievers I have watched completely reverse their biological trajectory, all share one thing. They stopped treating their body like a vehicle they could always take to the shop later, and they started treating it as the most irreplaceable infrastructure of everything they are building. Because here is the truth that I want you to carry out of this conversation today. You are your most valuable asset, not your company, not your reputation, not your portfolio, not the brand. You, your cognitive capacity, your energy architecture, your emotional bandwidth, your creative output, your presence with the people you need most. All of it runs on this one biological platform that you were given at birth and cannot upgrade with a credit card or replaced with a new hire. The longevity framework I recommend to every high performer I work with begins with a single, non-negotiable philosophical shift: proactive maintenance over reactive crisis management. Not waiting for symptoms, not waiting for a diagnosis, not waiting for a wake-up call that arrives at the cost of something you cannot get back. This means quarterly biological age assessments. It means building a genuine relationship with a functional or integrative medicine practitioner who understands both what high performance demands and what longevity science requires. And it means bringing the same strategic intentionality to your biology that you bring to your most important business decisions. Because imagine, genuinely sit with this image, showing up to every room you walk into, operating at the clarity of your absolute best day. Imagine having the emotional bandwidth to be completely present with the people you love in the evenings instead of a depleted, distracted version of yourself running on cognitive residue. Imagine looking at your biological age results 5 years from now and watching the number go backward. That is not a fantasy. I have watched it happen multiple times with real people who once told me they would take care of their health later. And it begins with the decision made today to stop scheduling your most valuable asset. So, let's bring this home. We started today with a single question. If you are doing everything right, why do you still feel drained?
And now you have 5 real, specific, biologically grounded answers. The sleep compression fallacy, the biohacking overload, the invisible nervous system tax, the hidden micronutrient gap, and the most dangerous of all, the health debt you have been putting on a biological account that does not offer an extension. But I want you to hear this clearly above everything else said today. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too far gone. You are simply running an operating system built on cultural beliefs that were designed to maximize short-term output from human beings, not long-term biological thriving. And your body has been absorbing that cost faithfully. The good news? Biology responds quickly when you give it what it actually needs. And at Vitawave, that's the work we do. We do not treat symptoms. We decode your biological waves to turn back the clock from the inside out. Right now, tell me in the comments, which of these 5 hit closest to home for you? Which one made you stop and think, that one is me? I want to know. Your answer shapes what we go deeper on next. And if something in this video gave you a new lens on your own biology, share it with one person in your life who's grinding hard and deserves to hear it. Not because the channel needs the reach, because that person's health matters. And sometimes the most important thing we can do for someone we care about is hand them a mirror. Save this video, come back to it. This is the kind of content worth revisiting. If you're new to Vitawave, welcome. My name is Dr. Elias Sight, and this is where high performers come to reclaim what the grind quietly took from them. Hit subscribe if you want to continue this work. We go deep here. No surface-level content, no recycled wellness advice. Clinical science, real biology, real strategies for people building real lives at the highest level. Next, I recommend watching next video. It goes directly into how to rebuild your cortisol rhythm from the ground up. That's the biological foundation underneath almost everything we talked about today. It will change how you start every morning. Pin this in the comments, write it somewhere, and mean it. Health is not a destination. It's a rhythm you learn to ride. I'll see you in the next one.